For those of you that watch a lot of motivational, uplifting, inspirational content out there on the internet, you may have come across this phrase a time or two, which is there's levels to this shit. You know, someone could say, I exercise. The next person could say, no, I exercise. Then the third person says, no, I exercise. Same word, but different levels of meaning. The first person walks 30 minutes a day. The second person walks 20 miles a day. The third person walks 40 miles a day with a 200-pound backpack while squatting an elephant. You see, it's all exercise, but there's different degrees of severity of each one, right? Me personally, I hit my personal newest level of shadow work, where I went all the way back to the beginning. I found the seed that sparked so many tangential negative effects in my life. You know, you might chop up like from the beginning. Like if you ever done some gardening or anything like that, where you have to pull some weeds. If you pull off the little flower that's sticking through the ground, the weed is going to continue to grow and just sprout back up and sprout back up and sprout back up. You have to pull it up by the roots. Well, I haven't quite pulled it up yet, but I have completely identified, I have shined the light on the first seed that was planted that made some of these negative effects in my life transpire and manifest that I've been dealing with for the past few years. You know what I'm saying? So with this video, I just want to tell the story. Now, with the specific thing that it is, I'm going to keep it in the tuck. You know what I'm saying? And for mom and grandma, it's nothing crazy that you need to worry about. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, like, there's certain things that I just, that are just personal to me, and I'm going to keep it that way. You feel me? But nevertheless, story time. So I was at work, and I finished up one of my last site inspections. And mind you, it was like 11 o'clock noon. And I was like, man, I do not feel like sitting back in the office for like 4 or 5 hours, man. I'm going to just hang out here for a little bit. So I find me a nice little shaded spot in a random parking lot and just sat back, reclined my chair, and was just watching a little bit of YouTube, right? And one of the things that, while I was watching, like, there's a lot of relationship stuff and some of this, like, just random stuff all over the place. But, one of the things that got my brain starting to think was, like, the relationship conversations. A couple red pill manosphere videos came up, some good things, some annoying things, all that type of stuff. You just scroll, right? But then there was like a particular video, and I don't even remember it, but it sparked everything else where I started talking about it. And I remember I was talking about whatever it was, like, as if I was recording a video. I was talking for like a good 10 minutes straight, just talking, just thinking out loud, right? But then when I got to the end of that train of thought, I just got really quiet. And I was like, okay, I just went 10 minutes talking about how these people don't know nothing about relationships, but I ain't been in one since Nam. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so what's blocking that from me? If I'm not experiencing it in my world, that means either I'm not manifesting it correctly or there is a blockage. There's something holding me back. So I began to become honest with myself. Shadow work does not work unless you are honest with yourself. Shadow work does not work if you are not brave enough to confront the things that you've been burying in deep in your closet, deep in your psyche, deep in your soul, that if I just bury it, I'll never have to worry about that. But for those of you that have done any type of gardening, any yard work where you have to go pull weeds, if you go out there and pull a weed and you just pull the little flower that's sticking out of the ground, the weed's going to continue to grow and it's going to exist. And then it's just going to sprout back up again. And you just pull it off and rinse and repeat, right? You have to get it up by the roots. And once you pull it up by the roots, there's nothing else to grow. Therefore, you've completely uprooted that weed, that negative thought form that's been implanted in your subconscious, right? The prompter that's been reading off this entire time and you forgot to turn it off, and your conscious mind is witnessing the manifestation of what that subconscious prompter has been going on autopilot for the past year, 2 decades even, right? So I began to ask myself, what's blocking me? What's stopping me from experiencing this in my world? And it was like an outer body experience, because I'm not sure if you can see it too clearly, but I got a new necklace, right? And for those of you that know the power of Moldavite, this necklace brought on the most craziest, deepest level of shadow work I've ever experienced thus far. It's like we got the Moldavite, jade, and there's like the clear quartz in here. But then all the little pieces around here are little pieces of Moldavite. When I bought this thing, I was getting it just for this little piece. All of this is Moldavite. It was crazy, which really made sense of why I was thinking the way I was for the whole week, right? But anyway, so I say all this because I literally had like an outer body experience, like the first time I ever picked up Moldavite, and I have a few videos of that in the past videos on my channel. I literally had like an outer body experience where it felt like just a layer of myself just lifted out of myself. And I began to like damn near time travel. I was seeing events, and I was like, okay, I'm in my car now in the year 2023. Let's go back. What started this? Okay, it had to have been my last relationship. Okay, well, my last relationship, I had a whole bunch of insecurities. I still had confusion. I had this, but for that to transpire, there had to be a preceding event that made me believe that, because if it manifested in my world, that's only a manifestation of something that's going on in my belief system, in my faith system, something that's been going on in the background of my mind. So I was like, okay, it couldn't be my last relationship. So was it my relationship before that? Well, okay, there's a lot of stresses that came. College, long distance, infidelity, insecurities again. Wait, insecurities again. So insecurity went into the second relationship and was already prevalent in the first relationship. So there had to be a preceding event that allowed this to manifest in my world. So I was like, damn, it wasn't even college. It wasn't even her. What was it? I go back and I'm like, okay, high school? High school, I didn't even care about relationships. Most of that went over my head, So like I was like, okay, but let me see. No, nothing crazy like that. But I was like completely turned off to relationships. It didn't really make sense to me. I found them to be stupid. And even then, I wouldn't have known what I was doing. Okay, so maybe it's something further back, I guess. Middle school? Nah. Elementary school? Nah. Childhood. Early childhood. There was that one. Oh, shit. And the moment I started thinking about that particular set of events, like I started to get uncomfortable, because it's, once again, like I said, you have to be brave. And like, I remember I started fidgeting. Like, I'm not a fidgeter like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can sit still. If I'm uncomfortable as hell, I'm just going to look you straight in the face. You know what I'm saying? But I'm in my own little world. I'm just like, oh shit, could this really be it? And I started like paying attention to my mannerisms. I was like, oh, this makes me uncomfortable. Oh shit, this might be it. And then in my mind, I just like burst through it, and I had to see what it was. And it's like it all came back to me. And like I was just sitting there, I was like, this was the root of the problem. This right here was it. This is why I felt so confused. This is why I stayed away from relationships. This is why I did this and that. Oh my gosh, so many things stemmed from this thought. When I really sat back and I thought about, dang, what is it that made this, preceding event? There was nothing before this. This was the starting point of all of these thoughts. You know how I always say that it's not love and hate that are opposites, it's love and fear. Hate is a byproduct of fear, right? Well, it's that all the malevolent, there's only love and fear in this world. So it's like, what are you fearing? What are you fearing? Or what are you, like there's something that brought fear or some type of negative effect. It stems from fear, anger, jealousy, envy, all that type of stuff comes from them. Even laziness, sloth, because, oh, well, if I'm not going to succeed at it, why even bother? You see, you have the fear of failure. You not talking to that girl, you're too, or that guy, whatever, it's like you're too scared of rejection that you don't even bother. So you might even forget that, you might not even consciously think that, oh, it's fear of rejection, it's fear. This is like, no, I don't like people. I never found what I want. All that's only happening because there is a thought form, a seed that is planted in your mind that's making you manifest this loneliness. That's manifesting in my personal thing, my reluctance to let people get close to me, all that type of stuff, because of this one event that didn't even directly have to deal with relationships, with connections like that, directly. But when you see how it tangents off of it and it spirals from it, you're just like, oh man. Without giving too much of myself, let me give you a simple example. How some of you are incredibly scared of heights or something like that, right? Some of you may be scared of heights, and it may not even be because, the threat, the fear of falling, blah, blah, blah. It came from something way, 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 way early on in your past. Something that you may not even consciously remember. Like, you may be a child, and you know how, you throw kids up in the air and you catch them? Well, maybe you were thrown up in the air, and they fumbled the bag, and they dropped you on your dome. You know what I'm saying? You may not consciously remember that because you were too young to remember it, but as the older you got, every time you're high up in something, you panic because at some point you was dropped on your head as a baby. You see? It's little events like that can have such huge, monumental detriments in your life. But the same can be true, the law of reversibility. The same that could be said about those bad things. It could be the small changes in your life that bring positive influences in your life, positive changes in your life. Okay? So for those of you that want to get into shadow work, I highly recommend y'all get into Moldavite. I've talked about this before in previous videos, and for those of you that work with some legitimate Moldavite, you can attest. You be like, yo, things was different, bro. See, the funny part with this, I didn't even realize how powerful this necklace was, because I was ordering it just for this little piece, just because it looked nice. You know what I'm saying? But this whole thing is Moldavite, and I didn't even know that when I bought it. And then the funny part is like a lot of people, they see something and they expect it. They expect this effect from it. I didn't even think about it. I was just getting it because it's pretty, because me and my arrogance, I was starting to believe that these crystals and stuff, and I've said this before, it's like I still believe that they all have metaphysical purposes, but I just use them as decorative adornments at this point. Now, however, power is power no matter what. You know what I'm saying? So when you start working with that Moldavite and you are working in the energy of that Moldavite, this high vibration, what does Moldavite do? It makes you do shadow work. It's such a high vibrational thing that if you are it's trying to raise you up to its vibration. And you cannot match its vibration if you have all this sludge, this emotional weight on you. So if you rise up, you're going to do shadow work if you want to work with Moldavite. And that's what happened to me. And because there's so many Moldavite pieces on this, I teleported. When I came back in my body, it had been 3.5 hours until I came back to. I was like, dang, bro, man, shit, man, it's been like a solid, damn, I need to get back to the office. You know what I'm saying? But after that, though, I really wasn't in a mood, because this thing that had been exposed to me, it's been something that I had just pretty much said, if I don't think about it, it doesn't affect me. If I just keep pushing it back, if I just keep ignoring it, it's not going to bother me. But I haven't realized, until the Moldavite exposed it to me, that it's been playing a role in my life this entire time. Now, I'm not going to say I've completely uprooted it yet. I'm still working with it. However, the light is shining on it. Now, what am I going to do with that? Am I going to continue to let it grow? Or am I going to systematically work towards removing the roots that have been implanted in my subconscious mind? That's what shadow work is. I know a lot of people, I make these videos on purpose because it's for people that are on this particular path. When people see shadow work in the title, they're not going to be like, oh, shadow work, that must be some demonic witchcraft type of stuff. No, shadow work is basically therapy. It's spiritual therapy. That's all it is. People need to get away from being scared of words. Occult. Ooh, that's witchcraft. That's demonic. Occult just means hidden knowledge. That's what the word means, hidden knowledge. Some of the stuff that's going on in your churches is occult. You see, but I don't want to get too off topic. That's probably for my next video I'm about to record. But nevertheless, man, when you do this shadow work, it frees you. But you have to be honest with yourself. Some of you can't even be honest with the fact that you're lazy. If someone calls you lazy, you react to it. No, I'm not. No, I'm not lazy. I'm just going to do things the way you do it. But if you're really being honest with yourself, you're like, damn, I did cheat my diet 7 days out of the week. Damn, my New Year's resolution lasted me 1 day. But when people call that out to you, you recoil. And that kind of shows you see? Now, obviously, if they're just wrong, they're wrong. But I'm just giving the example, Someone says you don't communicate. What do you mean I communicate? We talk every day. You can talk and say random words, but are you saying anything that is of value, of substance, something that's going to just stick in your partner's head? You know what I'm saying? Do you let them in? I want to know something about you, babe. Like, what's something that really worries you about life? I mean, life is life, It's like, so why worry? No, babe, I really want to know what's going on deep in there. Why are you so scared to let me in? I'm not scared to let you in. We have sex all the time. I quite literally let you in. What are you talking about? No. What are you afraid of? What are you scared of? Why can't you articulate this to me? And then you realize that they have emotional blocks. They don't want people to get close to them. Because the last 5 relationships they've been in, when they let people in and they told people their secrets, they began to be judged by their partners. That's why they don't want to tell you anything about themselves now. They just hope that they can go your whole relationship without ever having to expose that to one another, out of the fear of being rejected by yet another partner. You see what I'm saying? But truth be told, on that matter, if you're too scared to tell your partner something, your lifelong partner, your life partner, and you're holding secrets from them, you see what I'm saying? A friend of mine just told me that someone that they were talking to had a whole had a whole wife. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, don't you think that's kind of something that you should probably tell earlier? Because the later that you hold on to some of these things, the more detrimental the truth is going to be to that person. You've been holding on to that this entire time. You didn't find that to be very important to tell me as long as we've been talking? You didn't feel the need to tell me that? You see what I'm saying? But imagine, you see how that type of effect of holding on to that weight, holding on to stuff, keeping it, feeding that negative entity that's lingering in your mind has an effect on other people. What do you think it's doing to you? You got to do your shadow work. You spiritual people out here that don't do shadow work, hey, I mean, I'm not here to judge, but I'm just saying, how are you ascending? Or let me just put it like this. You could ascend a lot faster if you get rid of that sludge, because you will not get to the highest highs until you get rid of the lowest lows. To the next one.